So, I, 30 male, recently discovered that my goldfish, Bubbles, was cheating on me. Yes, you heard that right. A goldfish. Cheating. Let me explain. For the past few weeks, I noticed that Bubbles seemed extra happy and energetic whenever I came home from work. At first, I was thrilled, like who doesn't love affectionate pets? But then I started to notice something unusual. His tiny bowl had what seemed like lipstick marks on the glass. Look, I don't wear lipstick, so this was immediately suspicious. One day, I decided to confront Bubbles during feeding time. Bubbles, I know what you've been up to. I found the lipstick marks. Bubbles just swims around nonchalantly. I couldn't take it anymore. My curiosity got the better of me, and I set up a secret camera facing Bubbles' bowl. What I found was outrageous. Turns out, my neighbor's cat, Whiskers, had somehow figured out how to get into my house. And Whiskers wasn't coming in to eat Bubbles, nope. Whiskers came in to play with him. The cat would tap on the glass, making Bubbles do little swimming tricks, and the two looked like they were having a blast. The lipstick marks? From the cat's wet nose. The next day, I went over to my neighbor to talk about my discovery. Hey, can we talk about your cat and my goldfish? They seem to be having quite the secret affair. Neighbor, oh my goodness, I always wondered why Whiskers would come home smelling like fish. This is hilarious. Turns out, Whiskers had been sneaking out daily through an open window and making a beeline for my house. My neighbor and I had the best laugh over this. We decided to make things official. We got a larger tank for Bubbles and set it by the window so Whiskers wouldn't have to sneak in. We put in colorful decorations and even a comfy cat bed by the window for Whiskers to lounge on. Now, every evening, Whiskers comes over, taps on the glass, and the two of them continue their playtime. It's like Romeo and Juliet, but without the tragic ending. Well, Bubbles, you might have cheated, but you brought a new friend into both our lives. And honestly, seeing those two interact has become the highlight of my day. My goldfish infidelity turned into the beginning of a beautiful, unconventional friendship. One day, as I was feeding Bubbles, I decided to have a little fun with the situation. I looked at him with mock seriousness and said, Bubbles, if this affair goes any further, I'm going to have to charge Whiskers rent. Bubbles continues swimming happily. Feeling playful, I invited my neighbor over to discuss the lease agreement. We sat down with pens and paper, sketching out the most ridiculous terms. Neighbor, so, Whiskers will pay in head rubs and purrs, right? Me, naturally. And Bubbles will pay in happy swim laps. Fair trade. We laughed so hard, we nearly cried. It was amazing how a simple goldfish and a sneaky cat had led to such a whimsical friendship. Even our friends found the story hilarious and would often drop by to see the legendary duo. One time, a friend jokingly asked, "So, when's the wedding?" Caught off guard, I responded, "Well, Bubbles and Whiskers are waiting for the right season to have an underwater ceremony. You better start looking for your fish tucks." During the weekends, we threw mini parties where Whiskers and Bubbles were the main attraction. Whiskers would prance around the tank, and Bubbles would perform the little tricks he'd picked up. It was the perfect way to unwind and bond with neighbors and friends. Another friend quipped, Whiskers should get an agent. This duo is destined for stardom. We all laughed, but in truth, the two had already become local celebrities. People would ask about Bubbles and Whiskers as if they were discussing a television show. Every night, when Whiskers came over for their evening playdate, I'd watch them and wonder how such a serendipitous friendship had brought so much joy into our lives. One evening, I was entertaining some friends at my place. They were shocked and amused to see the strange duo in action. "Hey, why is there a cat nose print on your fishbowl?" My friend Jane asked, laughing. "Oh, you must have missed the memo," I replied. "Bubbles has a feline friend now. It's a whole new interspecies romance drama." Another friend chimed in, "Looks like Bubbles has gone from a fishbowl to a love bowl." Bubbles does a gleeful flip, oblivious to the laughter. One of my friends, a known prankster, brought a toy cat the following week as a joke. The toy cat had been programmed to randomly make meowing sounds. Placing it by Bubbles' tank, he said, "Hey, Bubbles, meet your new roommate." Whiskers came over that afternoon and found the toy. He stared at it, then looked at Bubbles as if asking, "Who's this intruder?" Bubbles continues swimming blissfully, clearly not bothered. Whiskers, seemingly unamused, figured out the toy cat was competition and knocked it over. Looks like someone is a little hysterical about sharing attention. We all burst into laughter as Whiskers pretended victory, now lounging comfortably by the bowl again. Finally, one day Whiskers' owner came by and said, "You know, Whiskers has been so happy lately, it's like he's redefined the term catfish. I chuckled, yeah, and Bubbles doesn't seem to mind one bit. They're quite the fantastic pair. And so, our little domestic soap opera continued. This unintentional misadventure ended up creating a bond between neighbors and a routine of joy that none of us expected. Bubbles and Whiskers proved that even the most unexpected friendships can redefine our day-to-day lives.